What's up, Chef Makeda? I see you, girl. Indeed. They'll be jumping on shortly. How are you guys doing this Sunday? I've had a great weekend. I had a birthday yesterday. Yes, indeed. Grateful for another year of life. Yes, what's up? Perhaps you guys may have partied a bit last night. What's up, Donna? Yay! You guys hit share. Let people know that we are on. My replay audience is huge, but I would love a bigger live audience. But I'm grateful for whatever I get. This is the year of gratitude. Yes, indeed. Is the music too loud? Some people tell me it's a bit too loud. I guess I'll adjust it. It's kind of loud to me because it's right here by my ear. But I want you guys to enjoy this theme music that my brother Quincy put together. All that good stuff. What's up, guys? How you doing? Hey! I see some new names in here. How are you guys? Thank you so much for joining in. Welcome to Soapbox Sunday. I'm Jermaine Taylor. I really appreciate you. Hit share. Tell your friends. This is going to be an exciting episode. I have this brilliant mind, this brilliant, talented woman. She agreed. She's helping us kick off this Thanksgiving holiday season. Donna, you're getting some love. Indeed. What's up, Aunt? Aunt is here. It's a family affair. Indeed. You guys make my heart so happy. All this good stuff. I've had a really good weekend. All the love that you guys showed me yesterday. I tell you, birthdays should only be once a year because I tell you, I was like on overdrive with just all the amount of attention that I was getting. Woo, another day of that and you wouldn't be able to tell me anything. Nonetheless. Oh, you just landed. Whoa, look at you. That's dedication. All right, folks, welcome to Soapbox Sunday. I am Jermaine Taylor. So, folks, the journey to becoming masterful in any line of work is often untold. We are only left to see the results. However, in a chef's journey, not only see the results, we feel the results, we smell the results, we taste the results. And Chef Makeda Freeman-Woods is here on the Soapbox Sunday today to tell the story behind all the dishes that she serves. She's a very busy woman. I'm glad that she was so much grateful to say yes. She's a mom, as you can see. She's a mom. She's a mentor. She's executive chef and culinary instructor there at Common Table in Louisville, Kentucky. And she agreed to say yes for this Thanksgiving episode of Soapbox Sunday. So put those hand clap emojis in the chat. Let me see those hand clap emojis as we welcome Chef Makeda Freeman-Woods to the Soapbox. On, guys. Internet live. There we go. I see you guys. Yeah, there we go. I see those hand clap emojis. Thank you, Donna. She'll be on here shortly. I just accepted her. Thank you, guys. Oh, Dollface. I love your handle. Dollface with an angel smile. There she is. What's up, Chef Keita?
Hello, Jermaine.
Girl, I'm having some internet issues. It's pausing and it's messing up my intro, but did you get the gist of it?
I did. So let me say happy belated birthday to you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Oh, I had a great day yesterday. I really did. It was a wonderful day. So thank you so much for saying that.
I'm glad.
Chef Keita, let's jump into this thing because there is so much I want to know about your world, what you do, all the joy that you bring to these people. I have a spoon, I have a knife, I have a fork, I have a spatula. Of those four utensils, which one describes you best?
Oh, definitely a knife.
A knife. Ooh.
Definitely a knife.
And why is that?
I mean, a knife is one of the most essential tools that you can have in the kitchen. You know, it's so many things I can do with this knife, you know. So that's why I would say a knife, because I'm definitely essential in the kitchen and in my role. So, yeah.
Does it speak to that bad girl side as well?
Well, listen. I'm working in kitchens, you know, so I'm a woman in a very male dominated industry. So you got to have a little edge too.
You got to pack, baby. You got to pack.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I was reading your bio, Chef Makeda, and the top of it struck me in a really sentimental way. You spoke of your mom, your aunt,
Yes.
and your grandmother.
Yeah.
And I was able to read that, having the image of one of your profile pics of your mom. I think it's on your Instagram.
Yes.
It's you with your mother, and you're sitting between her legs. So I had that image in my head as I was reading your profile. I mean, reading your bio, and you were talking about being in the kitchen with them, you know, learning what they do, listening to the stories. I know you've had training, but would you dare say that that's a part of your foundation as a chef?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
You know, I discovered my gift in the kitchen with them. You know, so 100% that's my foundation. You know, they taught me a lot of the technical training that I do. Those are things that my grandmother was doing. She just didn't have a name for it. You know, it just wasn't, you know, it wasn't called making a roux. She was making a base for her gravy. You know, so it transferred. Absolutely, those are foundational. Those years I spent in the kitchen with my mother, with my aunt, with my grandmother.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you take the reins pretty early, like start making dishes on your own at a really early age?
I did.
Okay.
I did, because my mother, I grew up in a single parent household. And so, and my mother, she worked a lot. And she was, you know, she was good for giving you a pot of beans and a couple of casseroles for the week.
Oh,
and yeah, and I desired a little more diversity in my food and what I ate.
Right.
So that's how I ventured my way into the kitchen, and it started with just kind of experimenting, you know, and things didn't always turn out well early on, you know, but she allowed me that space to do that, you know. And so that's how I contributed to the household. As I started to cook, you know, and I'd make meals, and I'd make her breakfast in the morning. So yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. So before you actually ventured onto your path in culinary, there was a brief stint where you worked in youth development.
Yes.
Was that not always the aim in being a chef, or did you just happen to discover it on the journey? Like, how did you end up, I won't dare say it's a detour, because everything you do in life leads to where you're going.
Exactly.
But what was that pause until where you are today in youth development? How did that come about?
It really wasn't a pause. Things just kind of started to align. You know, I started to open up to possibilities, and things started to align for me. I love young people. You know, I love being a service to people. I think it's important. When you hear, that's what you're supposed to do. And a lot of the programs that I would do with my young people would be around food, because I always just had a love, you know, and a passion for it. And I just happened to walk into a building one day because I was going in to get applications for my club kids. And I saw a flyer about a culinary program. I said, you know what? I'll sign up for this just to sharpen my skills. You know, had no intention. Signed up for it. You know, really excelled in it. And it was an opportunity every 2 years where you could apply for a full scholarship to culinary school. So I applied, I competed, you know, I had to cook a dish, do some essays, do a little submission, and I won a full scholarship to culinary school.
And that right there was confirmation and endorsement.
It was confirmation.
Yes, indeed.
100%. You know, and so I was nervous. It was scary because I left my job, and I'm a single mother of 3 kids, but I just knew this was something told me to move. And so I made that move. I quit my job. I went to school full time. So I would go to school from 8 in the morning to about 3. I'd get out of school, get my kids, get them situated. Then I'd go to work in kitchens. And I did that for 2 years. And I worked hard, and I showed up, and I opened any opportunity that came my way. I was there. And it just kind of set me on my path to where I am now. And I just worked, and I made connections, and just kind of, you know, I think it's a spirit thing. A lot of people just poured into me, and that's why I feel like it's important that I pour back into other people.
Well, you gave the universe something to respond to.
Yeah.
It saw you getting up, working tireless hours, taking care of 3 kids, feeding those kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when anytime someone feels, they may not know you, but they see something in you, or they feel something about you, and they want to invest in you, not even knowing exactly what it is, but they're just giving to you because you're emanating something that you are working hard for. So no, girl, you did the work and people responded.
Exactly. And
But
that's
when
led
it
me
got,
to where I'm at now, you know, because
yeah,
I think it's important. Like I said, so many people have poured into me, and I
yeah,
want to take everything that I have, my experiences, my knowledge, and just kind of pour into others, you know, that want it, that have the
yeah.
same desire. Yep.
Now, when it got dark and uncertain, because every day you're on the grind, trust me, I
Yes.
know, when you're trying to like get it, some
Yeah.
days you're like, Lord Jesus, how come I can find an easier way of doing this?
Mm-hmm.
What did you tap into to stay focused? What was your system?
I tapped into the strength of my parents.
Hey,
I would think about their past and what they endured, and I'd be like, you know
yeah,
what?
yeah,
I can do this. And
yeah,
then my children, you know, I have 3 children watching me,
yeah.
and they really seen me go through a transition, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and of maturity and just growth, and they really helped me push through. You know,
Yeah,
them cheering me on because there'd be times I don't, you know, I'm tired. You know, I don't want to do this. Have I pay
yeah.
this
You want to
bill? I'm
live?
tired of going to school. You know, it's so I would have those moments absolutely 100%.
Yeah,
But I also, you know, understood that I knew something was on the other side of that too, and I had a really strong desire to get to that space.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not finished yet. We still moving.
There we go. That's why you own your
Yeah,
girl. Soapbox Sunday is all about movers and shaking.
absolutely.
So, now, once you graduated culinary school, do they set you up with interns? Are you working in restaurants? Like, what's the procedure after that?
You do, in that final quarter, you do have an externship. And I
Mm-hmm.
had an externship at a local hotel. My culinary career kind of started in hotels,
Okay.
banquet cooking, similar. And I also, at the same time, I started to do food vending on the side. So I
Oh,
would be at farmers markets, selling juices, cakes, and pies. You know, that's kind of how I was sustaining myself, you know, financially. Because starting off as a cook, you didn't make much. You know, I was in
yeah.
culinary school. I didn't have any experience. So, you know, I had to be creative to also be able to sustain my family.
You had to be an entrepreneur, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yes.
Exactly. Now,
Yes.
working in these hotels, you worked under other chefs, I assume.
Absolutely.
Let me just put a pin right there. I have been a server several times throughout my journey in becoming, I should say. And
Mm-hmm.
I've worked under as a server under, executive chefs. Girl, help me understand, what is this ego sometimes they have?
You know what? That's something, you know, I think a lot of that is rooted into, dare I say, the white supremacy, because culinary, this industry is very white male dominated.
And that's what they mainly were.
Yes, yes. And so that's a lot of what, you know, you deal with when you go into the industry. You know, I don't subscribe to that. I run a very positive kitchen. I'm here to
Yeah.
encourage and empower people, you know, and that's something I can't deal with. You can't talk to me crazy,
Girl, they
regardless
would come in with
of your
these
position. I can't.
stank attitudes
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
their dishes. And I'm like, well, I can be stank too.
You're right. Exactly. Exactly. You know, exactly.
What is the difference between, in your opinion, a cook versus a chef?
Okay. Well, I think it's leadership. The
Okay.
chef is at the head of the kitchen. The chef is there to lead. You know, a cook
Okay.
can prepare a meal, but a chef has to be able to understand the entire workings of that kitchen. They have to
Mm-hmm.
be able to handle the financials and make sure the money is rolling in correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it comes down to leadership. Because
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of creative cooks. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people who have, you know, great ability that can cook and prepare wonderful meals, but they
Mm-hmm.
might not necessarily have the ability to run or lead a kitchen.
Yeah. I asked that because I used to watch Rachel Ray when she was on
Mm-hmm.
back a few years back, and she would always describe herself as a cook, not a chef. And I always wondered why she always stopped short of that. And I didn't know if there was some sort of hump to get over in order to say that you were a chef,
Mm-hmm.
or if it was just more of a personal moniker you chose because you didn't want people to expect something from you that you didn't have.
That's what I took from it with her. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, totally. And plus, the freaking internet is full of nothing but cooks. I mean, people have all kinds. You try them at home, it's like, wait, this did not work out the way you said.
Yeah. You know, I get a lot of students that come to the program. They have these, you know, think, you know, they're going to come in and be like,
Yeah.
wow. You know, and we start with the foundation. So,
There we
yeah.
go. We got to build up. Now, speaking of your students, your progression into teaching, how did that evolve? Was it just something that you applied for as well? Or did someone just crown you? You know, be like, listen, you have it, go back there and impart it to others. How did you start teaching?
Someone kind of called me and said, hey, I know they knew my background from facilitating programs with young people, and they also
Right.
knew my culinary background. And they saw opportunity and thought of me, and they called me and asked me if I would be interested. And I definitely was, because it married both of those things I was very passionate about, which was food and then people. Because I really enjoyed cooking in the space that I was in the culinary world, but I did miss that service piece and being in the community and really servicing the community. So when the opportunity presented itself, I jumped at it. I had never instructed culinary arts, but I had instructed several of the different things, and I had a really great foundation around my craft, because this is something that I practice and I put a lot of time and effort in. So I felt confident in my ability to teach. And so, it was a learning trial and error, but we have really been able to grow our program and really had some amazing students come through and graduate.
You know how to talk to people too.
That's key.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's just so easy to talk to,
You know what? That is really key, because a lot of what I do is not really about, it's the technique is easy to teach people. It's really getting people to believe they can do it.
Yeah.
Getting them to commit to themselves in the program and really encouraging them. So it is a lot about talking to people.
Yeah. Can you train anyone, or do you need some sort of potential before you get in your classroom?
I mean, as long as you are willing to do the work, you can learn. That's how I feel. And I've trained students who have varied levels of, skill. I've trained students that had some difficulties, cognitive difficulties and different things. And we've been able to get them trained and get them placed in employment, So I think as long as you're willing to and you're open,
What do you look for in your students when they come in? Do you just look for a willingness, or do you just look for whoever, if they even desire? Like, is there something that you particularly look for, or is it just whosoever will? Okay.
It's usually, I look for people who are committed, more so committed to themselves and and their personal goals and their growth. Those are the students that I feel that really come in and put forth that effort. Because just with anything, you get from it what you put into it. And so I'm very big about holding people accountable in my program. I think that's the best way to help people grow and really take ownership of their lives, is when they understand that they control their situation, they have the power to. So once I see that they have that commitment to themselves and they're really ready to dig into it, then those are the ones I look for.
You're talking a lot about self-development, I'm hearing. Do you ever witness breakthroughs through your students personally as a result of what they're doing in the kitchen? You see them like growing on a personal level? Really?
Yes. And it trips me out every time, because but I see that a lot.
Oh my God. And how are those skills that you're teaching, how are they like translating outside of the kitchen? Like, do you see them applying themselves more as human beings? Like, do you see that happening as well?
A lot of it's transferable, because a lot of, being in the kitchen, it's a lot about time management. It's about staying cool, staying calm. It's about focus, being observant. So a lot of those skills can transfer. Those are just basic life skills. Everybody kind of needs those, to survive and function in any role that they're in, A lot of it is accountability. And, when they start to hold themselves accountable, that's when I see those breakthroughs.
Wow.
I had one particular student. I had to dismiss her 3 times from my program because she kept coming back, because I always leave the opportunity. You can always restart. She kept coming back, and each time I would just see something different in her. I would see improvement after improvement. And then at that final, when she finally completed and she graduated, it was just like, she felt something, something energized in her, that she was able to complete that, and just being able to believe that you can actually complete something. You can do this.
So it's as if they're on a journey, but you're just there to give them some direction on the journey that they're on.
Yeah, this is them. Wow. I'm just here to help you, guide you. This is you.
Oh my God, girl, I didn't think the conversation was going to get this deep. You mentioned food as being a connector.
Yes.
Explain that statement, Chef Keita.
When you think of a gathering, can you think of a gathering without food?
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
No. Listen, I'd be mad when I get to meetings and there's no snacks. I'm like, where's the snacks? you know.
Yeah.
So whenever I think about just getting together with family, food is always usually that, you know, that centerpiece. That's what brings us together. You know, it connects us through different cultures, through different races, it brings people together.
Mm-hmm. You know, I got to get a little social commentary on you real quick. So let me
Okay.
ask you, how is it that a racist can divorce themselves just briefly enough to allow the person they're racist against to prepare their food, you know, to get their dinner ready? How is that they're able to do that? Like, what is it about their psyche where they can be racist, but you can still cook my food and give me nourishment? What is the psychology under that, if you don't mind sharing your point of view?
You know, that's an interesting question.
Yeah, because
That's
like, if you're
an
racist, you don't
interesting
want anything
question.
to do with that person, but you don't mind them preparing your food, and that's a personal connection when someone's preparing your food. That's
Absolutely.
a trust.
Yes, it is.
You know?
Yes, it is.
So how do you explain that?
I just have to go to maybe back into that supremacy, that arrogance that they would not dare. You know, because I am in this position and they are in that position to serve. So I think that's the psychology behind it. In my opinion, you know, I try to be very kind to people that deal with my food.
Right.
You know, so I don't, you know, that's like I said, that's an interesting question.
Yeah. Because I often wonder about that really rude guest that's in the restaurant that's very mean to the server. And I'm like, you don't understand the power that this server has over you right now.
You know,
I guess,
you know, historically, food service workers do not get a lot of respect, you know, and what they do and what we do is, you know, is supremely important. We're giving you whatever you put in your body to nourish you, you know. So it's very bizarre when people come to restaurants and are rude and nasty to the people who are providing them their food.
Sure.
It's very bizarre.
How did soul food get its name? Like, why do we call it soul food?
I think it's when we think about the origin of this Southern cooking, or what we call soul food, you know, those ancestors in that space. You know, I think that's where that soul food comes from, that terminology. When I think of soul food compared to Southern food, I think of soul food is more about, you know, the food that you would eat while you're in California outside of the South, but still connected to those roots.
Right.
You know, it's more like soul food. I would compare it to like an immigrant cuisine.
Sure.
You know, so
like chicken fried steak to me is Southern food.
Right.
Whereas neck bones is soul food. You know what I'm saying?
And then it's about the seasoning too.
Okay.
It's about how you season your food too. I think that's what makes a difference to me, if it's soul food or if it's Southern food.
Okay.
Because
I've often wondered the distinction between Southern cooking and soul food. Because, you know, a lot of things, they're the same fare on the menu.
Yeah.
But I guess it was what you said, the way they're prepared is what the distinction is between the two.
Yeah, and I believe who prepared it too sometimes.
Hey! You gotta see.
I mean, you know, sometimes it's in the hands. You know, it's in the DNA.
My grandmother used to go to these restaurants, and she would always be looking over the dash. Who in that kitchen?
Right? Who is in there? You know, when you be like, who made this potato salad?
Let's solve the debate between dressing and stuffing. It's going to be timeless. People will always call it certain whatever it is because of where they're from and, you know, the space that they come from in the land.
Right.
But is there a distinct difference between stuffing and dressing, or is it just pretty much the same thing?
In my opinion.
Okay.
Dressing is cornbread dressing in a pan. It becomes stuffing when it goes into the bird. It's the same thing, but when you put it in the bird, it is now stuffing. If you bake it up in your pan, it is dressing.
Now, when they do that, is it already cooked before it's stuffed in the bird, or like do they like cook it while it's in the bird? Because to me, that's a lot of room for error when you're putting something raw inside of a bird.
It is. Okay. There's a lot of opportunity for bacteria growth when you're.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity. So they should have it already cooked and usually stuff it in the bird for presentation and then the stuffing.
Well, even the look of that doesn't even do it for me. It just turns me off. I just
You
like a
know,
good old pan of cornbread dressing sitting to the
yes.
side.
Yep, cornbread dressing on the side. Yes. Because I like the corners sometimes. You know, the corners
Yeah.
get a little
Hey,
crispier.
yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
love the little hard parts. Oh
Yes.
my gosh, those are the best.
Right.
Now, I've never been able to like really fry chicken. I don't know if it's because I can't get my ratio to flour right or if
Okay.
it's not seasoning. What is so cumbersome about frying chicken for a lot of people? Is it the temperature of the grease? Like, how do we do it?
Well, it's
Oh,
your
Portuguese.
what is the vessel? What is the vessel you're frying it in? I recommend using a nice heavy cast iron skillet to fry your
Okay.
chicken in. And you do want to have that grease extremely hot when you're dropping it.
And that's the issue for me because I'm afraid I'm going to burn up all this.
You got to commit. They always drop away from you, but you have to commit and you have to have that grease hot to get that nice crispy chicken. Then another pro tip when you're frying chicken, it's always best to marinate your chicken or marinate it in a buttermilk or brine it in a water, salt, and sugar. That'll help tenderize it, keep it nice and juicy and flavorful.
Yeah. Does it help to rotate the chicken as it's frying, or do you just pretty much let it do its thing while it's just
Well, if you're in a cast iron skillet, you want to rotate it and make sure it's cooked evenly on all sides. And if you're dropping it in a deep fryer, you just let it cook.
Yeah. Are you a fan of air frying?
I enjoy my air fryer for certain things.
Yeah. It's me.
I don't want fried chicken out the air fryer.
Yeah, because I'm always
My
of the
fried chicken is
notion
grease.
whenever you air fry anything, there's going to be something that's just not quite right about it. But there are a lot of people, we're on these healthier options, and people are like, air frying is just really the way to go. And I'm thinking, what are you missing?
I use it for some things. It's a good quick cooking option in the kitchen.
Yeah, my best friend Sheila's on here because she loves her air fryer. She talks about it a lot.
That's right, Sheila. Sheila, you can do a lot of good things in the air fryer. You can, definitely.
But every time I'm always wondering, like, what is it that she's not getting that she would normally get by air frying? So yeah, she goes, especially for reheating. I can do it for reheating.
Yes, reheating is great.
Yeah. Chef Keita, what is the one ingredient that belongs in anybody's mac and cheese?
With mac and cheese, I say use fresh grated cheese. Grate your cheese fresh. That makes a huge difference.
As far as grating it?
Yes. Get you some nice
work, Chef Keita.
I mean, but listen, do you want it to be good or do you want it to be great?
Can I just go get a package of cheese and just mix it all together?
I mean, you can, but if you want to take your macaroni to the next level, grate your cheese and using a variety of cheese. And yes, I see somebody said heavy cream. Heavy cream is also key in your macaroni and cheese. And I like to add a little dried mustard to the macaroni and cheese as well, just to amp up the flavor.
Are you team creamy mac and cheese or team a little bit hard baked?
I like a creamy, cheesy pull. I like my cheese to pull.
Okay.
When I scoop out my mac and cheese, I like to see a nice cheese pull. I like to make a nice cheese sauce from scratch. We're not using any Velveeta or any jar cheese. We're going to use some heavy cream. Like Anthony said, nice 4-cheese mac and cheese, some cheddar, some Gouda, Gruyere.
Oh, wow. You just want me to spend all kinds of my money trying to make this mac and cheese.
Yes, we do.
Are you do you mind different kind of noodles, or you just pretty much liking the elbow macaroni?
I'm a traditional.
She uses Dijon mustard in her mac and cheese.
Yeah, a little mustard. Dry mustard or Dijon mustard adds a little flavor to it.
Oh, that makes it a little bit zesty, too. Yay. Thank you, Patrice. I might try that one.
Right. Good tip, Patrice. Right.
Are you finding that there's a migration in that people are moving to healthier options? There's a soul food restaurant out here in LA, and I forget what it's called, but the niche of it is healthier soul food. She uses kale instead of collards and mustards and things like that. Is that where we're going, do you think, or no?
Yeah, but I think that's where we're being. I think a lot of it is just like really remembering what soul food and what our ancestral food really is. Like mac and cheese, fried chicken, those were celebratory meals. That was not the everyday diet. Right. a traditional African diet, or even the diet of the enslaved, was vegetables that they grew, you know, a lot of beans, grains, legumes, things of that nature. So I think we're remembering who we are and really tapping back into, you know, that natural way of eating and living, which is a beautiful thing. I love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were in culinary school, was that when you were first introduced to different cultures as far as fusing them together? Or was that the natural evolution of just on your journey also?
Well, by nature of my father, I grew up in, you know, a household with a lot of different people from a lot of different countries. And they, you know, my father was an educator, and he did an exchange student program. So a lot of the students would be in the home, and they were basically my babysitters, and they would cook for me. And so that was an introduction to me from a lot of different, you know, ethnic foods. And so I always loved Caribbean food, West African food, because I've been eating that since I was a teenager. So those are kind of my preferences to cook with. I also love Asian flavors. I love the fusion of Caribbean and Asian flavors. To me, that's just a natural matchup. So that's what I love to play with in the kitchen.
You know, it's fascinating because anytime I hear barbecue in other cultures, it's not the barbecue of our culture. And I love that. Like whenever I have Korean barbecue, when I first had it, I was a bit taken back because I was like, wait a minute. This isn't the barbecue that we know with all the sauces and stuff like that. Their barbecue, it's not that it's dry, but it's not heavy on the sauce.
Right, it's not
but
sauce.
Still, they call it barbecue. So what is the general definition of barbecue, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, barbecue really means cooking over a flame or over a fire. And that can be used with wood, charcoal, like you said, depending on where you're located in the world. That style of barbecue is very different. Even just where you're located within the United States, the style of barbecue is very different. The sauces
is different from Texas.
Yeah. So it's very regionally specific, what type of barbecue we're using, but mainly it needs to be cooked over fire.
Cooked over fire.
Absolutely.
Do you have a special way that you prepare your barbecue?
I use a charcoal grill. I don't like gas, so I use a charcoal grill. I do not like gas if I'm barbecuing. And I also believe very much in marinating, my meats. I love grilled vegetables. Just throwing a nice piece of red fish on the grill with some veggies is a very, very delicious meal. So, yeah.
And getting back to egos, you can't tell somebody who can barbecue a thing. I got several of my uncles, and it's almost a fight at some reunions because they're trying to figure out who's going to be grilling all day so they can have bragging rights on how much people love their food.
Listen, people challenge me to cookouts all the time. They be like, I bet I'm like, well, come on with it. That's always my response.
Yeah.
So I guess as a chef, you do have to have a certain level of ego and arrogance because you do really feel like your food it's the best. Yeah.
We as a culture, and I'm speaking about us as Black folk, we've always just been connected to our food because like you mentioned at the top of the show, it's always, the center of our gathering.
Yes.
But we also assign meaning and superstitions to our foods and stuff like that. How did we get these superstitions on New Year's Day that black-eyed peas are for good luck and gotta eat something green to have money and all this good stuff? Is those just wives' tales that are just recycled that'll never go away? Or how does that even come about?
Well, they're wives' tales that have been, traded down through generation to generation. But they are rooted in some of our ancestral ways. Black-eyed peas are something that came straight from the continent over into the Americas through the slave trade.
They came from Africa, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So eating that is a way of remembrance and different things. So I believe those are how those tales came about because of the connection through those foods back to the homeland, the motherland. Yeah.
As an aside, do you have to put a piece of soft Joe in your market? I gotta have some kind of pork sitting in that pot of black-eyed peas just to make it right.
I never liked black-eyed peas growing up. My aunt would make something called black-eyed pea casserole. It was the only way I would eat it, and it was like ground beef, tomatoes, onions, peppers, black-eyed peas.
That sounds like Hoppin' John.
Similar to Hoppin' John's, and she would pour cornbread on top of it and bake it. That's the only way that I would eat it.
I didn't even know what Hoppin' John was until I went to college. One of my fraternity brothers, he was from, I want to say, want to say Tennessee somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, we have Hoppin' John instead of, Black Eyed Peas. I was like, what the hell is Hoppin' John? And I was like, wow, I never knew what that was. So I was like, what is different? So I guess that's a regional thing as well, because we never knew that in Texas, especially East Texas, where I'm from. Last question about cuisines. Every time I make a box cake, I want it to taste as homemade as possible. Give me the one thing I need to add to my box cake to make it taste homemade. And guys, feel free in the chat to chime in, because I'm ever trying to make my box cake taste homemade.
I'm gonna give you a couple different things, but the best thing I'm gonna tell you is make a homemade cake. But if you do not want to make a homemade cake,
I'm not good at my ratio.
If you do, use real butter.
Okay.
Add some a pudding mix to it.
Okay.
Add milk or cream, and then add some vanilla flavor and our little almond flavor to kind of amp it up.
Okay. Now, am I using butter in lieu of what's on the back of the box, or am I adding it to it?
So whatever oil, if it's asking for oil, use butter in lieu of the oil.
Yeah. Okay. I'm always asking Anthony this.
Well, and the reason that butter instead of oil is butter is fat, and fat equals flavor. So the oil is going to give you some moisture, but the butter, that's going to help amp up that flavor as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because once I tried making a homemade cake. When I tell you, I don't know if I didn't sift my flour correctly, but it just sat in the actual whatever I was baking it in, the baking dish. It didn't even rise. I was like, what did I do? So
it didn't rise.
No.
We'll have to discuss that off.
And this was like the easiest recipe I could find on the web. And it still didn't turn out. So I'm just forever, polling people, whoever I find. Like Anthony said, I'm forever asking him that, because I just need to know the right way. Because each time I do all these things, they still taste boxy to me. And I hate that, You
got to make a homemade cake.
Oh, well, you're going to have to get me in your kitchen and walk me through it step by step.
Yeah, we definitely will have to do that.
So I hear you have a little catering business on the side.
Well, I don't like to call it a little catering business. I have a big personal and private chef business.
Okay, educate me.
Well, I do personal and private chef services. It's called Sister Chef. Okay. The website is sisterchef.com. And I do a lot of in-home cooking classes with people. I also provide training and serve safe certifications to local restaurants, people who are starting up and needing that certification as well.
Okay, cool. Anthony, she ain't reading nobody. I love it when we have these connections in the chat, because some people feel like they can get a little personal.
Well, that's Big Brother. Go ahead, Big Brother.
I guess so. Sit down. I love him dearly. I love you and all your siblings. You guys have been so good to me. So when I've catered a number of times. That wasn't really my forte. A lot of us, especially in New York, we either work in restaurants or, do a lot of catering, to make a little side cash.
Yeah. And
catering was never my forte, because it was just always, and for lack of better words, that it was a little bit too chaotic for me. I like coming to work every day knowing what I was going to do. And each, particular event that you were catering for came with a different set of rules.
Yes.
And that didn't work for me. But, catering altogether, is that something you actually enjoy doing, going from event to event, or would you rather have your own restaurant set up?
Well, I used to have a position as a catering manager for the University of Louisville, and we would do, the biggest event I did was 20,000 people. It was the inauguration of the president, and chaotic. Wow. You say chaotic, it was very, very, very chaotic. I actually enjoy a little not knowing what's going to happen at work. I like a little, I'm ready to go. So I like that. So, and that comes with being in the kitchen. Even if being in a restaurant, you got to be flexible. Stuff happens all the time. Things go wrong. Equipment breaks down. Something doesn't show up. So it's always that little bit of unknowing. I would prefer to be in a restaurant than catering. The biggest headache for me with catering is transporting food. Oh, okay. It's transporting food. I've had box trucks full of warmers where food turned over en route. So those type of disasters, those are always the worst. And so I would definitely much rather be in a restaurant than the catering side.
Now, when you're delegating to the other cooks, I'm assuming you have other cooks working under you, getting things prepped. How are you ensuring the consistency of your actual recipe when you have so many hands that are trying to make it the way you make it? Like, is it already portioned out for them? I mean, is it already pre-seasoned? Like, how do you do that? Because I've often wondered, how does it taste the way the chef wants it to taste when there's so many people, you know, supporting her?
Yeah, that's a difficulty when you're working in a large establishment and you're sending out a
Right.
lot of different food, is to keep the consistency. You have to
Yeah.
be clear with your recipes. You really have to develop your recipes and test them over and over and over again, and test them when other people prepare them to get what you really want. So it's really about training your staff, showing them, being clear on what you want done and how you want it done. And
Yeah.
you have to trust your staff. You have to hire good people, you know, because you have to have a team. This is not anything that you can do on your own if you're running a kitchen or you want to cater. You have to have a team. And so you got to hire good people, support them, give them a good working environment, treat them good, and they'll treat you good.
Chef Kid, this has been one of the most enjoyable conversations I've ever had on Soapbox.
I've had a great time talking to you.
Oh my God. What's on the menu for you for 2022? What you got planned, girl?
2022 is like you said, the year of gratitude. I'm just in a space of just grateful for everything, just forever grateful, forever growing. I hope to continue my education as a chef. It's always about learning and developing. So I'm looking into a lot of different things to continue my education. I'm going to continue to grow my personal and private chef service. I have a shirt I'm going to show you.
Okay.
You can see it says Black Chef Matters.
Yes, they do.
Right.
Get it.
So that's something I'm working on here, is our Black Chef Matter movement, to support other young Black chefs that are coming up in the industry, because it is a difficult industry to navigate as a Black woman or as a Black man, because it is such a white dominated space. So really just supporting Black chefs that are coming up through training, and just trying to also educate people on the contributions that Black chefs have made in the past, because a lot of times they've been overlooked, and we are truly the original fusion chefs, the original culinarians of this space.
Let me back up a little bit. I was getting ready to try to bring this train in, but I want to touch on that a little bit. You mentioned it's a heavy, you know, male, white dominated industry, chefs. Is that just like par for the course as with anything else? Or like, because whenever I think of food and cooking, it always comes back to me, maybe because I'm just a Black man. You know, I'd feel like there would be a good amount of equity in that industry. So is it just you're like, no, wow. Is it just, once again, another power shift or a power thing that we're fighting against, or what?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really? So when you think about cooks and those domestics, you think about Black people in those spaces. And a lot of times we are still in those spaces as cooks, but we're not running kitchens. We're not in those managerial spaces. We're not in charge. And that makes a difference, you know. And so it's starting to change. And I think it's a wonderful thing. I love to see it. And, you know, I'm so happy that I get to be a part of helping to cultivate, you know, the next, you know, batch of young Black chefs that are coming into our industry.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that, because you mentioned that earlier and I kind of glossed by it. And then when you brought it up again, I was like, let's just sit on that for a little bit. What do you got planned for Thanksgiving? Are you getting everything all seasoned?
Well, Thanksgiving, I'm actually tomorrow going in preparing a Thanksgiving dinner for 450 people. So if you're local and you're in Louisville, you know, we'll be at St. Anthony Church on 22nd and Market Tuesday from noon until 2, and we'll be serving a Thanksgiving dinner. Everything's going to be made from scratch. Turkey dressing, sweet potatoes, greens, green beans. So come see us. And then I'm going to hit the road and I'm going to head home to my mama's hometown, Athens, Alabama. And I'm going to spend Thanksgiving with my family out in the country.
Is it hard for you to sit at somebody else's table?
No, it's not. I love it. Invite me to dinner. I love it. Thank you.
Indeed. Your sister said you're glowing, and that you are.
Oh, thank you, sis.
Chef Makeda Freeman-Woods, you have set the atmosphere for this holiday season.
I'm so glad.
And I'm so glad you said yes. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you invited me. I love this.
Yay! You have an incredible Thanksgiving holiday.
You too.
We will chat soon.
Thank you, Jermaine. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Folks, thank you so much for joining me on this Thanksgiving special of Soapbox Sunday. I'll talk to you next week. Wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Bye-bye.